Hi, so good afternoon to everyone. It's indeed another privilege to be here with Issues in Focus with Shibiki Rivals. I am so delighted to be here, well, especially in this. There's just something extra special about today. Um, but I am so happy that I can still reach my audience. So, with me, I have a wonderful panelist who we are going to explore um, one of my favorite topics, and I would like to term it the heartbeat of relationships. I don't know if the panelists would agree with me with that caption, but I just thought about it, the heartbeat of relationships, and we are going to explore the concept of love languages today. Remember, I cannot, many of you, I've changed where I'm streaming. I'm now streaming directly from my page. And I would have recognized that some persons, they would have commented on my page directly, and I was not able to see their comments. So because we're streaming here, if you have not liked the page, Issues in Focus with Shibiki Rivals, you will not be able, I will not be able to see your comments. I will not be able to know if you're viewing. So you can go ahead and like the page right now. Remember, you can share this video to anybody on your page so that they can be edified at the same time. Hi, Danielle. Good to see you. All right. So before we go any further, let's pray. Great God and eternal Father, we are grateful for yet another opportunity whereby we can come, discuss, and explore our relational concept. I pray in the mighty name that you will be with our audience, and may you help that whatever we will discuss here, they will be edified, and at the same time, we all can learn from each other. Have your way, we pray, through Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, good. So we are going to get straight in. Before we go, since I'm going to ask you guys to introduce yourselves. It was here, especially I want to know, of course, your name, what you're doing right now, and with your country of origin.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Euwayne,
So,
and I'm a theology major, and I'm from the land of many waters, that is Guyana. Thank you.
thank you, Euwayne.
So my name is Danicia Morris. I'm a management studies major, and I'm from Trinidad.
All right.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Julius Paul, and I would have studied pastoral theology with a minor in family studies, and I'm happy to be here. Of course, I'm from the beautiful country of Guyana.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fevrier. I would have studied theology, pastoral ministry. Presently pursuing MSc in counseling psychology. I'm from St. Lucia, the Helen of the West.
All right. So that's right. So thank you very much. I want to say welcome to Sarah. I am so happy. I missed you for a few days, but I'm so happy that you're here today. So we're gonna just to remind you, we're looking at the heartbeat of relationship and love languages, and I would have given it that new caption. So what we want to first of all explore is by the way, audience, if you have your questions, please feel free to place your questions in the comment section so that we can be able to, I can read it, and we see how best our team will be able to address the questions that you would have asked. So the first one, when you hear, what do you understand by the term love language? And I want to hear everybody's definition, your own definition. When you hear love languages, what would you define it as? All right, so I realize that I have a panel that everybody don't know who is going to start first, because it's like when it comes to these topics, everybody's so energized and they're ready to go. So I will have to start calling name from the next question. All right, let's go.
All right. Well, let me begin because by way of seniority. When I hear love language, going into a definition, it always speaks to me in terms of someone understanding and appreciating the whole aspect of love. somewhat similar to me communicating through words, speaking to someone else. In that same way, when I am in a relationship, to me, understanding when I'm talking about a love language, I'm talking about how do I appreciate or how do I receive love or feel love. And in the long and short of it, this is how I would capture it. It is really of how you feel about the way someone is expressing someone else's expression of love.
Oh yeah, thank you, Jemai. I'm feeling it already. All right, we take the other person. Danicia, I'm going to leave you for last. Let a gentleman go first.
Yes.
All right, I'll go next. For me, when I think of love language, I think of a form of expressing your love. Now, because I know where the origin of it was developed by, well, it came from a popular book written by Gary Chapman, and he sort of teaches a framework of communication to give persons an idea how they can communicate effectively with their partner. And I believe that we all speak language, and communication is very important in relationship. So what I believe Mr. Campton does is that he creates a framework for communicating with your partner. That's my idea about it.
All right. Thank you for
All right,
that. Just before, let me just say welcome to Sister Geraldine. Thank you for the birthday greetings. Yeah, definitely I'll call you when I'm finished here. And Shalon, yes, we dealt with Jemai backstage before we came on because we recognized that many persons are quarantined. I mean, you're not seeing Julius fully, but he also is in both of quarantine. All right, Julius, you can go ahead.
Tell Shalon I like my style, so that will be my new look from now on.
All right. When I consider the phrase love language, what comes to mind is the way I want to be loved and the way how I want it to be, how I should express my love towards my spouse or my partner. We communicate in different ways, in feelings, in thoughts, and so how I want those loves to be expressed. That is how I would demonstrate what I understand the concept love language to be.
Thank you.
Yes, they really covered it, but for me, love languages is basically the way that love is communicated to you in a form that you could understand and identify, and that you can interpret. Because I mean, if you think about languages, if someone comes and speaks Spanish to me, I won't understand what they're saying. I won't know what they're saying. So a love language is really a form of communication that I must be able to understand and identify with.
All right. Thank you so much, Danicia. So I want to say greetings to Darian, Evangelist Rouse, and I know Pastor Goodman in the house. Pastor, I'm so happy that you are here with us. All right, great. So I'm receiving a feedback. So I'm kindly asking everyone to mute their microphones at this point in time, and we're just gonna move from there. So I want to touch base. So we already set the premise on what love languages are. Your definition of love language, what it is really. And we're now going to look at the different types of love languages. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask one person to give one, and then perhaps whichever one maybe is your favorite, you're going to expound on that one. So I guess people will be pushing to see who will go first, because you don't want anybody to speak about your favorite one. But just speak about one. So in the event your favorite pass, don't feel any way, but you're going to speak on that one. I want to encourage those who are viewing at this point in time, please share the live video here with others so that they can see what's going on at the same time, and they can like the page Issues in Focus. In the event they want to make a comment, or they want to they want to see, they want to make a direct comment, and so that I can see it, you can do that. Please don't do it through my page. If you do it through my page, Shibiki Vibers, I will not be able to see your comments. I will only be able to see your comments after the program. And I would really like to acknowledge what you have said and if you have questions to address them. So like the page and share it on your page also so that others can see what we're talking about here today. All right, guys. So let's get straight into it. So you're going to tell me, you're going to describe your, and please don't be too long, but just give me a nice briefing on what your on one of the love language.
All right, since I'm always speaking first, so I will go out and speak first. But before I even mention, I also want to say that because I listened to the definitions, and one of the things I realized is that there's a particular slant to keeping it within a relationship of a man and a woman, or girlfriend and boyfriend, and I want to. And that's why I try to keep the definition broad, because it also encapsulates family, friends, work colleagues. It's a language that goes beyond just the relationship, the monogamous relationship of two individuals. And so it is broader than that. I will not speak of my favorite. In fact, if I were to see which one of them which is my strongest love language, I would see quality time. However, I will mention words of affirmation.
Okay.
I'll begin with words of affirmation. I hope I am not touching anyone's favorite. If I am, you could always indicate by waving your hand, and I'll do another one. But the words of affirmation to me is when you look at it, you will find individuals who just, they love to be complimented. And in the context of whether it's a relationship between a man and a woman, whether it's a friend, whether it's your child, whether it's your parents, there are individuals, their strongest love language, the way that they will hear from you that I love you, is really through words. So if they're going out and they dress, they would expect you to say that you're looking very nice, and genuinely so. You don't just say it because somebody, you know the person's love language and you are manipulating a situation, but you genuinely realize that this person, I care about this person, and this person will only understand. Excuse me. This person will understand that I love them if I give some compliments. If I tell them that, you know, you're looking very nice in that dress, if you have a new hairstyle, and I compliment you on it. This is where you will be able to reach that individual. Also, conversantly, these individuals, they are very hurt by insults. So if someone's love language is words of affirmation, you can do a lot of damage by insulting them or saying negative things about them. Sometimes I know in our context, we just say, well, some people are thin-skinned. It may not be because someone is thin-skinned, it's just that their love language is words of affirmation. And if you're not going to be affirming them and you will use negativity, you can destroy them. Now, I want you to move it from the context of your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, and your wife, and bring it to a child. If you have a child whose love language is words of affirmation, and you are using terms like you will amount to nothing in life, and in being insultive to that child and abusive, it cannot handle that. You destroy someone that their love language is words of affirmation. I will stop there because I'm getting excited about this thing. So let me allow someone else to speak.
I love that. I love it, Germy. And I love the way that the fact that you would have extended it to like out of relationship, because sometimes we think it's not that important and it's only valuable for us to know in relationship. But the sad thing about it, if right now, and especially for those who are listening, I want you to pay keen attention, because many of you only learn about love languages when you get into relationship. And that happened to me personally, because I really didn't understand it. You just know that, okay, I just don't think this person loves me enough or whatever. But had I understood love languages from the core of my, in my teen years when I started the relationship, my adult years. What am I saying, teen? Yeah, I was 18. I had my first boyfriend. I am not telling a lie. I had crushes, many crushes in school, secondary school, but I knew
So
that
you're
for one
supposed
thing,
to.
I cannot be in a relationship because my family, too many persons, your mommy and daddy. So that was out of the picture. But I had my crushes. But I never understood love languages until maybe my early 20s. I wouldn't say it maybe created a lot of issues, but I know that if I had known it before, things would have been handled differently in some situations. So thank you for expounding on that. So we're gonna take another comment from someone else.
Okay, for me, I'll go with acts of service. Now, acts of service is a very interesting one. Now, many individuals like things to be done for them. They like to come home and see the house clean. They like some probably their partner to prepare a meal for them. Do things that will make them feel appreciated. So acts of service would the partner, or if someone has this as their love language, they would expect someone to show or express love to them by doing service. And I'll be short on that one also.
Thank you. I felt my cords vibrating. All right, go
All
ahead.
right.
Yes.
Yes. The one that I fancy, and I guess the men on the panel will agree with me. I guess most men will fancy this one, and that's physical touch. Right? Physical touch. It's the whole act or the whole concept of holding hands and kissing and embracing and each other and so forth. But the interesting thing about physical touch, of course, it includes sexual intimacy. But while it has to do with the physical touch, it doesn't always lead to sexual intercourse, right? For physical touch, holding hands, it's a sense of appreciation and feel love. But because we varies from individual to individual, the best person to give you an indication of which area you should touch is your partner. They are the best instructor in this whole aspect of physical touch because our bodies are sensitive. It varies. So touching on the hands or the holding of the hands may not seem romantic or loved, but probably kissing her on her neck or kissing him on his neck and those kind of things can actually send a message of feeling love and appreciated. So physical touch is what I will go with.
You see, it's interesting how the men are smiling. It's like Denise and I just looking on, and the men are like, "Oh yeah, you just speaking my
Um,
language." Go ahead, Denise.
Well, what's really funny about that is that physical touch is actually my primary love language. So,
Go right
I
ahead,
heard
my
him say the
girl.
man. I heard him say the man, but I'm like, okay, yeah. But yes, just adding to that a little bit. Um, of course, apart from in a relationship, couples, um, as a child, I would like to when I'm spending time with my parents, if I'm reading, I would sit on my dad's lap when he's reading to me, or you know, a pat on the back, a hug, always hugging, and that kind of thing. As for children, or even as single people, um, sometimes physical touch does not have to be sexual. Of course, we know that, and it could just be a hug. Some people like hugging. Some people, you talk to them and you just touch their hands, or it's reassuring feelings and stuff like that. So yeah, that's that on physical touch, which
All
If I
right.
is my
can, if
love language, by the way.
if I can quickly say something else here, Madam Moderator.
Go right ahead.
Because and this is my view, it might not necessarily speak for all men, but because when it comes to the physical touch, while we agree that it not necessarily lead to sexual intercourse, because men we like what we see, And when you touch, when you see something that you like, of course, your wife, and you see her dressed in all the fancy stuff, and you will touch various parts. Of course, it will bring some sexual. It will arouse your sex organs. You want to have sexual intercourse. So, for me, I like that. I like that excitement. We down the road, but that just me. Right, but of course we establish the fact that it doesn't necessarily lead to sex because for a woman, just want her husband or her boyfriend, not boyfriend, or husband basically, to just hug her, just sitting watching a movie and you're just hugging each other. That will just feel so romantic for her. But for the guy, he just say, yeah, as soon as the movie done, it's party time, movie.
All right. Thank you for adding that. So we still have to deal with two other because we spoke about physical touch. We spoke about acts of service. We spoke about words of affirmation. There are two others. So I want you to quickly touch on the two before we proceed with the other questions.
Well, I'll talk about receiving gifts. I think that's what you call it, receiving gifts, right? Well, what I understand about receiving gifts, some people might think, it always has to be some kind of expensive gift. Every 2 days, he comes home with a bunch of roses and the most expensive chocolates. But from what I've seen, sometimes giving gifts could be something handmade.
Definitely.
You write a letter, you leave a note on the mirror. Something simple. It doesn't have to be expensive. So, if anyone had that belief that, somebody whose love language is receiving gifts has to be some high maintenance person, it can be the simplest of things and they really
Yeah.
worth it.
I love that. I always say it's the thought that matters, It's not the expense behind the gift because somebody, all right, let me use for example, today's my birthday. And over the years I had some friends who brought me gifts, but they weren't the most expensive gifts. But it meant so much that they actually remembered and they were able to bring something and give me. So for me, it's the thought behind it when it comes to gift. So, ladies and well, our gentlemen who are listening, take note of that. I just want to welcome. Hi, Miss Donna. I'm so happy that you're here. Hi, Sister Grel. Sister, welcome, Sister Greldine. She made a point of calling. Hi, my sister, Stacy. I'm happy that you are tuning in here today. If Sasha's not here as yet, please tell Sasha to join. She needs to listen to this conversation here today. All right, let's go ahead. So we dealt with 4 of them. So we have one more to explore.
All right. I want to touch on the quality time. But before I do that, I guess I went full circle and I still come back to my favorite. I wanted to tell Julius I am not like most men then because physical touch would not be my love language. Although it would be probably somewhere second and third. My main love language would be quality time. And quality time in the conversation is just what it is. We are living in an age today where we are all preoccupied with our devices. People would be in the same house and everybody is doing their own thing on their devices and we're just so far from each other.
Yeah.
The quality time aspect is talking to someone, spending time with you and putting down all of these gadgets. And we look at each other and we talk to each other. We talk to each other. Now, it doesn't have to be for a long time. It could just be a few minutes, but it must be happening consistently. One of the things, well, as I tell you, one of the things that is most annoying for me is to be talking to someone that is on their phone, either messaging somebody else. I mean, it really kills me.
Yeah.
It does. I cannot deal with it. I would not be able to concentrate to even continue the conversation if I realize you're doing something else. It means that you're telling me you're not hearing me, you don't care. It doesn't matter how much you tell me I'm listening, I'm hearing. Because to me, for you to be listening, there must be some form of communication. You have to be talking back and reflecting on what I have said, and we need to be conversing. And until and unless that happens, you're not speaking. We can be in very close proximity. In fact, somebody could be sitting next to you, lying on your lap, and still you feel that you're not hearing. So quality time is not necessarily the length of time, but as it says, is the quality that you matter at that particular point, that nothing else in the room matters. It's just us. And that is what is important. I also wanted to touch on a little on the receiving of gifts, because sometimes people get it confused with somebody that is being materialistic, and it is completely different. Because someone whose love language, whose primary love language is receiving gifts, and as it was mentioned, it is not necessarily how expensive that gift is. It could be that you're walking down the road and you just see this flower. It's just a grass flowering, but you remember that person and you took it home, and this person appreciates it because it's you remembered me when you saw that, and it tells me that you love me. Now, as I keep on focusing, because I realize Julius's love language, he had focused solely on one person, and I'm spreading it out again. I'm saying it speaks to everyone. I also want to say that and as Shabiki mentioned, you in your early days you have been in certain relationships, and you look back now knowing what you know, and you ask yourself, things could have been so much different. Because sometimes we break up with an individual not because this person is bad or you're a terrible person, but the two of you just cannot be together, and you're asking yourself, but what is it that is so wrong? And it's because you're not communicating. It's almost as if one is speaking French and the other is speaking English, and we just don't understand what each other is saying. Although all that we're saying to each other, I mean, you can imagine you have somebody in French speaking and telling you "chérie, vous aimez," and then you in English saying "I love you very much," but you all are saying the same thing to each other, but you just cannot understand what he's saying, and then it doesn't make sense. So that is the nature of when we're dealing with love language. This is where it is and how important it is in relationships.
That's right. Thank you so much. And I want to make this note before I continue. I just want to let the audience know Julius Paul is married. So you will hear, as you continue listening to the conversation, you will realize the different swings that the men are taking. Germy is also married. And Julius, how many years you've been married for?
Yeah, this year will be 6 years.
6 years. Excellent. Germy, how many years you've been married for?
That probably would date me, if I tell you. 15 years.
I got you.
I got married when I was 2 years, don't worry.
Okay, great. Wow, 15, 6. And well, Euwayne is not married as yet. And
is negative 2 or negative 1?
And we have Danicia, she is engaged. So
Okay.
so we have a wide spectrum of individuals here having this discussion. I just wanted to put that on the table, so at least you will know when they're speaking about certain things. I don't want to, especially when the men are focusing on physical touch. Somebody's saying, "Hey, is a single man talking there?" Or by the way, you ain't no offense, you could talk, eh? Because all of us had a anyway. Let me go on. So,
Madam
okay.
Moderator, if
Yes.
I can just say something here quickly. There seems to be a by the way, Germy, I am in agreement with you that it covers all relationship. And one of the things that is important for us to understand, especially as parents, a child or your child or children will demonstrate all 5 of those love languages. And it's important for you to understand the child's or your children love languages and able to utilize it, especially the physical touch and the quality time on the others. But it seems to be a correlation between the gift, the receiving of gifts and the quality time. The best the best, and some aspects, the best gift that you can give to a person is yourself. Being in the presence of that person speaks volume rather than a tangible gift that you can give to them. So I just want to make that clear.
Interesting application. All right.
I agree with Julius.
Mm-hmm.
However, that would depend on, remember, each and every one of the five love languages, we all speak them to some extent. Let's say, for me, my most important love language is quality time, same as Germy. Physical touch is probably second, and receiving gifts is probably way down to the bottom of the list. But it doesn't mean that I do not like receiving gifts. And if you're spending time with me, I would not see quality time as a gift. Yes, I'm glad you're here with me and so on, but I still want to give. It's my birthday and you just want to spend time with me. Yeah, I still want a little gift to show that a little appreciation. So for some people, yes, that might be so, but I might still want that real gift. Just a thought.
All right, that's what I like when it comes to us having a conversation, because it's like you hear a different perspective, and as Julius brought in his perspective, and I'm like, oh really? And I never really thought about it, but I can give and take with it. And then when you ain't brought in that perspective, all right. So guys, to those who are viewing, we're just listening and we're learning the different aspect come from different individuals' perspective. Remember, if you have a comment, you can make your comment in the comment section also. As long as we have time and it's directly to the program, we're going to acknowledge it, acknowledge what you would have said. Welcome to Miss Baston. I'm so happy to have you here. All right, so we have to move on now. And I just want to ask the men, what do you think is the most all of you would have dated perhaps maybe more than one person before you would have gotten married. So during the course of dating and courtship and all of those times, what do you think is the women's primary love language? And then Danicia, myself, the two of us, we're going to try to see if we can identify with the individuals we would have dated before. And if you are in the current, well, you're engaged now. What do you think from your perspective from the persons? So go right ahead, gentlemen. You're going to begin. Let we ponder on this.
I think most of what I would be doing at that point would be in retrospect, because I think when I started dating, I'm not sure I was too clear as to the love language.
Okay.
So I would be basically looking in hindsight to an extent as to what it is. A lot of this information I learned a little later on, before I got married, but most of my dating, these were behind me. But from the top of my head, I think there were two that were more prominent for me. That I was receiving gifts and quality time. I don't know if it is something that is, I cannot argue that it is more with women than men, because I have not done the research and I have not read any research on it per se. So I cannot categorically come out and say it is more dominant in women. Yes, there has been a lot of talk that women are usually asked, the cry has been for quality time. That could be as a result of the fact that we are living in a society that has a misogynist look to things. You have a male-dominant society where the man can do what he wants and he's never at home because he's free to just leave the house and go down the road and play cards or dominoes with his friends and this kind of thing. So a woman now in a situation like that would crave for quality time. However, that doesn't mean that is the person's love language. As Euwayne said, if it's my birthday and you don't give me a gift, I might look at you and say, but it's my birthday and you didn't even give me a gift. So, and it doesn't mean that that's my love language. So in like manner, you may find more women saying that men are not spending quality time, or in their conversation you're getting, or you're seeing from their conversation the fact that a woman is always crying out for more time. Not necessarily because that is their love language, but just because sometimes we are living in a particular context where that is what is happening. We have a society where men are supposed to be providers.
Yeah.
They will be going out to work. Now, a man might be under pressure. He feels, I get married or I'm working towards getting married, and I need to make the money to take care of that individual because I'm the man. I'm supposed to provide. So based on that, he's going to exchange his time for money so that he can provide for that prospective wife. However, she's going to be complaining that you're not spending time with me. Not necessarily that is my love language, but I mean, if we're dating, we are courting, I mean, at least let's spend more time together. You're not spending enough time with me. He's seeing at this particular moment that what I need is to make enough money so that I can marry you, and then I'll be able to spend more time with you. So I cannot necessarily put it in that category and say yes, more women, or no.
Okay.
I think to a great extent it's still open.
Okay.
Until the research shows differently.
And let me hear what the other two gentlemen have to say.
Well, I will tend to agree with Jeremiah because for me, growing up, I've noticed that quality time and acts of service are the most cried out for love language from the women in my life. My mom, grandmother, girlfriend, and others. They always want you to do something in the house. I travel to different places, and it seems like the phrase of "honey, come and do this" or "come and help me do this in the kitchen" is spoken in so many homes. So I would tend to say that acts of service and quality time are very important for women. But as Jeremiah said, until we do official research on it, it's just my subjective thoughts towards it. Because at that time, it might be she wanted some help. But behind the scenes, probably they have a different way of communicating and something else they talk about.
True. All right. Thank you, Euwayne.
All right, I share the same sentiments as the two gentlemen, but the only one I would add, right, apart from the two that Euwayne would have mentioned, the one with words of affirmation.
Okay.
Um, when it speaks about words of affirmation, a woman wants to hear her man or her husband or her boyfriend giving her comforting or soothing words, because women, it is said, it is common out there that women like things that they hear. That's why they will often be, quote unquote, often be swayed with the fancy words
Right, men.
that a guide would often utter. So that was one that I can probably add to the equation. But as I said, it is not necessarily concrete as to say what is going on. But also the quality time. Quality time, because you can be in the presence, of your partner, and in their minds, you still not spending quality time with me, right? Because in their minds, they want your undivided attention,
Oh, yes, of course.
right? So you can actually, you and your partner probably watching a movie, but you are on your phone or you're doing something else, or they're speaking to you, you're discussing an issue. But while they're discussing the issue, you are in a different world.
Hmm.
And in their mind, you're thinking, yeah, we're spending quality time, but I don't understand why you're saying that we're not spending quality time. And that is often the cry of many women, quality time. But the question that is plaguing my mind, Madam Moderator, with
Okay.
where we are in today's society, where both parties are taxed,
Hmm.
where both parties now have to work to make ends meet. If my partner, if a person, their partner is, the love language is act of service. And of course, acts of service as it relates to chores and stuff, we know that that's stereotype. So how do we deal with those kind of issues when both parties are taxed and you're coming home late and they have work and family conflict? How am I to relate to that as it relates to my partner's love language as well as to my love language as it relates to quality time?
All right.
Is it that you have to make a strategic plan? You have to plan carefully and purposefully and intentionally to spend quality time, budget for it, if you want to use that term, put it in your schedule.
All right. I'm just gonna give my opinion on this before we take Danicia on this, and maybe I'll take one comment from any one of the gentlemen on Julius's comment question also. All right. So I am big on quality time and I'm big on acts of service, right? So if I'm going to take your question into consideration, honestly speaking, when it comes to quality time, I don't care. And that's why I am very cautious in terms of, it doesn't make no sense I'm in a relationship with someone who is perhaps working on the ship or in another country working because we want to make ends meet and I am here. It will not do well with me. Even though, yes, we have the phone, we have technology, we have Skype, we have everything. For me, that would not do well with me on a long-term basis. I am willing to sacrifice on a short-term basis. Let's say in a local situation where both persons are right here, let's say Trinidad. Let's say I marry and I'm living in Trinidad with someone and both of us, we have hectic schedules. When I look at that, it means that definitely we will have to budget, quote unquote, time with each other. So it means that, okay, when it comes to church, what are we going to do? We don't really see one another much to spend time during the week. Maybe now, let's say children came along, you have time with the children, he is tired, you're tired and all of that. You don't have that time to spend. But for me personally, what are we doing on weekends? What are we doing Friday nights? What are we doing Sabbaths? Are we going to separate churches? So for me, acts of service, well, quality time in this case here, we can find it. It does not necessarily mean it has to be within the home setting. It can be out of the home setting whereby we go places that we're supposed to go. And we can have some portion of the time spent together. But as a woman, honestly, we'll have to see how well we can budget with it because that is one of the top on my agenda. As it relates to acts of service too, that one there. Acts of service, while I think that is accomplished a whole lot by individuals being around somebody or being there in my presence, acts of service can also be accomplished whereby that person's in a distance and I am here. So I may have things to do. For example, I'm looking at my program right now that I'm doing. It's using Focus. I may need flyers to be designed. I may need videos to do. I may need different things to do. So in terms of me with acts of service, I must be able to, hey, can you get this done for me, please? For me, I feel really and truly satisfied because why? That's a part of my love language, even though that individual is not directly there to perform the acts of service in my presence. But for me, from a woman's point of view, those who may be sharing quality time and acts of service, from my perspective, the ideal for us is if you are there, and if it means we guys coming together and try and see how best we can find a time to do it, it will be pivotal for me in relationship. And I think I really and truly, well, I'm not married as yet, but anyway, I think I'll stop there because I don't want to say too much on public forums right now. But I'm going to take, I don't know if any one of the men have any other comment to make on this particular issue and Julius' question. Then I'm going to take Danicia's response on the question I asked you guys.
Okay. Well, let me add my voice to that. And I understand Julius's query because what has happened, especially in the context of COVID-19 right now, one of the challenges that we are facing is the reality that people are working from home. Now, both of you could be at work and be at home at the same time, but you're not spending quality time together.
True.
Now, if the person's love language is act of service, for example, and this wife wants help in the area of, well, I don't like to use the word help because it's not really help. It's our responsibility. You're not helping. You have to dismantle this kind of philosophy that there are rules that are specifically for the woman and rules that are for the man.
That's why
One of the things that you can that could probably work. I'm looking at it. If my quality time and your act of service, we put it together in preparing the meal together and washing the dishes together, then we are hitting both places. So you have to find creative ways to make it work in that context, because you cannot say, well, okay, let's stop working. So you have to work around it and make it work. And as I said, I think one of the challenges we face, and without fear of contradiction, I think we are faced with a challenge here in the 21st century Caribbean, where the gender roles, we are holding on too rigid to it, that it's creating issues for us.
yes.
That we need to look at it. There's nothing that say that the woman have to be the one doing this and the man have to be the one doing this. We can work together for the betterment of whatever it is.
Lovely. I love it. I love it. All right, let me just say some welcome to some persons before you continue, Danicia. Hi, Sasha. Well, I'm happy that you decided to tune in. You need this. Nicola, welcome to you. Oh, and ladies, Sarah, thank you for sharing your love language. Ladies, those who are listening to me, you can type your love languages. I want to have just like a brief survey for us who are here, and let the men see. I want you to type your top 2 love language right in the chat section. Just type it. Remember, you can only do this. I can only see your comment if you are viewing from my page, Issues in Focus. If you haven't liked the pages yet, you may very well need to do this right now so that you can get to type. So I want you to type Joshana. Hi, Tenderness Joe. I'm so happy that you're tuning in. And you have joined us here this afternoon. So Joshana, Sarah, Tenderness, all of you ladies, Nikki and others who are here, please type in your active your love language, your top 2, and so the men can have a feel of what they've been saying, and perhaps you may be able to help them to understand something else a little more. So thank you for that. And even to the males who are viewing, Danielle and others, Danicia is going to deal with that right now. What she, in her opinion, what she thinks is a male's love language, and then I'll just give my opinion on it. But you men, you can also comment in the chat section what are your top 2 love languages, so we ladies can be able to understand a little better. All right, Danicia, so go right over to you.
Well, before I say what I think is the general love language of men, I think that the love language that a person develops, or the primary love language that a person develops, is shaped by a number of things.
Yeah.
Maybe the way they grew up, the experiences they had. So, of course, when people did research, they would probably find a common one. But of course, you would see variations because, everyone is different. Everyone's experiences are different. So they would end up with a different kind of love language. But I think it's between words of affirmation and quality time. I'm saying words of affirmation because my fiance, that's his primary love language. So words of affirmation. And then I think, men like to hear that, they're doing a good job. Thanks for working so hard. You work so hard. Thanks for cleaning the yard. Thanks for helping me with the wares. They like to hear that they are providing and they can provide for their family, or in my case, they are, making me feel loved, or being a good boyfriend, being a good fiance, that kind of stuff. So I would say words of affirmation and, well, quality time, because that's I think quality time is a common one across the board.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. In my opinion, I think quality time and physical touch. For the men that, of course, who I would have dated, and some of my male friends that I know, those 2 are like on the brink of it. Yes, words of affirmation. And one of the things I was sharing with Father's Day, I think it was yesterday, I was the first time I decided to like privately message fathers and to tell them Happy Father's Day. And what I realized, the response I got, I'm like, we need to dispel the notion, ladies who are listening, we need to dispel the notion that men, I wouldn't rank it, in my opinion, as the primary. I would put that third, but men need to hear. You need to commend them. So sometimes we have this notion that, you don't have to commend men. Oh, commendations are only for us. Don't give man a compliments and all of those things. But the responses I got from men yesterday, some of them I called and some of them I messaged. And I recognize that, I think, ladies, we need to really and truly get our acts together when it comes to that. And tell a man when he's doing good, because oftentimes we focus so much on the negative and we quarrel up and we always on them when they're doing negative stuff. But when it comes to the positive things, we don't really affirm them. So I think it's high time, ladies who are listening to me, let us affirm our men. Hi, Germy, welcome and good to see you.
I had to learn that. I'm
learning. I'm learning.
Yeah. And I think too, another thing too, is that we tend to speak the language that we are, because it's something easy to do. It's easy for us to express or speak the language that we are. So it really takes a conscious effort to, of course, find out what the other person's love language is and to speak it. Like make a conscious effort to speak it.
Yes, thank you so much. So I want to just throw back this question to the men. Men, do you think we were correct with our? I'm not. Some of you would have given your opinion, but do you think we're correct with our assessment of what we would have said as what we think is your love languages? Because it's a three mention: quality time, physical touch, and words of affirmation. Are we correct? Just yes, no long deliberation.
As I said earlier, I wish not to categorize anybody in a particular group and say men are on these. There are 5 love languages that is spread all over. And you will find different people with different love languages, whether male or female. It's a matter of understanding which one the particular individual you're dealing with has as the prominent one and dealing with that person based on that love language.
Okay. All right, I got it.
All right, I would say yes. I would say yes, that generally those 3 mentioned, common among men.
Well, yes. But I want to ask you a question. Where y'all think physical touch fall?
I mean,
because nobody mentioned it. There's some men who actually like that. Now,
no, I mentioned quality time and physical touch.
Touch and affirmation.
And affirmation.
I got you. I meant the level.
Oh, the level.
Yes.
I listen, men with levels, let me tell you, men will go far out as long. Whatever you allow them to go, they will go. Trust me. And if it comes to sex, they are going to go there too. So it depends on, I think those respectable men that we have and those individuals who are trying to uphold their integrity and because they're Christ-centered and all of those individuals, and they realize that, hey, what, maybe I'm going to prolong not having sex now, or I'm going to wait until I'm married or whatever. Those are the guys who are able to more shape the physical touch into just perhaps cuddling and maybe kissing and those things. But other men who just don't care, like sex is on brink of their agenda, like they cannot control that aspect of physical touch. So for some men, it's like on the go. And I mean, on Facebook, I'm not going to share one of my personal experiences. I have to be very careful. I usually ask permissions before I can share certain things. But trust me, physical touch is like a biggie for a lot of men that I know. I mean, because I have discussions with men too. And they will go as far as you allow. Those respectable ones are going to respect your values, but they're going to go as far as you allow. Yes, Danicia?
Yes, I think in the top 3. If you're asking for a specific ranking of all 5, it's one of the top 3. If it's not 1, 2, if it's not 2, 3.
That's right.
No lower than that.
All right, good. That's great. Now, my thought, the reason for asking that is because I like how the Bible puts it. Paul in Ephesians kind of structures it nicely. He says that you should love the women and respect the man. All right. So respect would be, honey, you're doing good. I like when you do it that way. And the man, all the time showing appreciation and those practical ways of showing you love your partner. All right. So we should not forget them. But for me, I always think of these love languages as, should I say, like a framework for how you deal with relationship and the challenges that will come its way. Because can you imagine one individual doing all the love language stuff and he's just doing everything, but the girl on the other side, she's just receiving and she's not taking the effort to return or share or give his love language. So it must be something where both couples are involved in. They must be conscious that, you know what, for my relationship to work, I need to seek to understand my partner.
Yeah.
And one thing that it hits us at is that selflessness principle. Because if you're selfish, there's no way you're going to be doing things just to make your partner feel happy. You're going to want them to do things for you. You're going to do whatever you can to manipulate them to do things for you. But when the selfishness principle is out of the window and you're willing to do things for your partner, that is when I believe that, the love language, you will spend time to learn the individual's love language and to seek to minister to their needs. That's my thoughts on it.
Minister to their needs.
Madam Moderator, I would like to ask a question and a submission. I will give a submission and I will ask a question. But first, the question I would ask, is there a correlation between your personality and your love language? Is your love language influenced by your personality?
That's an interesting question. That's an interesting question. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know how to answer that question.
Well, yes, Julius, it does. Remember, your personality is that foundation that actually determines who you are. All right.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm a quiet person. If you want to go down to 16 personality types, I'm INTJ. I'm very analytical. I would sit down and I could probably learn an individual in a few hours, learn what they like, learn how much time they're looking at themselves. And I would actually do what the things that they want you to, they would expect you to do to make them feel better. And that's because it's in my personality to do that. But for some persons, if it's not really in their personality to, I gotta spend all this time, I'm always on the go, it's very hard for them. All right. So yes, it's rooted in our personality.
All right. So we have some questions coming in from our viewers. Viewers, oh my goodness, you guys! I'm sitting here and I'm smiling. I want to say welcome to Diana, Didi, your name on Facebook. Odesia, welcome. Good to have you here, and Dylan. So, one of the questions asked by Odesia is, can all of the love languages equally be your love language? And I'm just going to take two brief responses on that. What you think, again, in your opinion here, because none of this topic has not been researched by us, or we haven't carried out specific research, but can all of the love languages equally be your love languages? Any two individuals can briefly respond on that. Dylan made a comment here. When we look at Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, it seems quality time and words of affirmation cause that's what the serpent. Oh, it seems as if quality time and words of affirmation was perhaps what the serpent was mastering in. I don't want to your two words in between. I want to be very careful how I phrase it, so I don't misunderstand what exactly the context and your statement rather. And then there's another question asked. I think Dylan asked this question and Daniel also asked this question. Do unmarried persons qualify for physical touch? Keeping in mind what the Apostle Paul said, and of course of the spirit of prophecy. I know we will deal with courtship next week, and we're going to explore certain things. We're going to deal with premarital sex. So some of those questions. So we're going to just briefly, maybe two persons can do a brief response on that. Don't set yourself up, guys. But if you can briefly respond on it, respond. When we're dealing with courtship and when we're doing with premarital sex coming up in the next 2 weeks, we're going to explore those in more details. All right. So first question, let's see if we can touch on that. Two persons. Can anybody has all love languages equally?
Well, I don't think so, because when you go on the website, there's a website, 5lovelanguages.com, the number 5. And when you go on the website and you do the quiz, they actually rank it from your number 1 love language to your number 5 love language based on your answers to the quiz. So I don't think that you can have all the love languages together. Equally. Otherwise, then there wouldn't be issues when someone comes to speak your love language, because it doesn't matter if they do quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation, gifts, you would always be fulfilled. Your love tank would be full, as Gary Chapman puts it. Your love tank would always be full if you had all the love languages as your major one, and there wouldn't be any issues.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. You take one more response on that.
All right. Well, I think the answer is clear. Well, Gary, who's the one who really developed it, he made it clear that one will be dominant.
Yeah.
You cannot be, unless you have split personalities, you cannot be strong in all the areas and have all of them. I also want to touch on the issue of physical touch. I don't think we have to put certain connotations to physical touch, because holding hands is also physical touch. When someone has a love language of that relates to touch, it doesn't mean that you have to be touching inappropriately. That's not what it's talking about, because children, and that's why I try to keep it as broad as possible so that we don't narrow it down to that. You would have children that their love language is that, and that doesn't mean that it is something sexual. And I think we mentioned that earlier, that in fact the individual whose main focus is on physical touch is not necessarily something that has to be sexual. And I think that's one of the challenges women face a lot in our society with men, because generally, and I think someone was talking about the touch. Sorry, I'm going on long on it, but I think it's an area that needs to be dealt with. Men in our society has been categorized as hunters. The hunter knows how to set bait, and sometimes it's not because his love language is physical touch. He always wants to touch. He is after prey, and I hate to use that terminology, but because of the construct, he's going to use what is going to get him the prize that he's looking for. And women, on the other hand, well, again, I don't want to generalize it, but if you find yourself in a situation where you have a young lady whose love language is physical touch, cuddling and hugging, she may not have at the back of her mind anything sexual. But a young man who knows that and who recognizes that could use that to manipulate the situation. And that doesn't mean that his love language is physical touch at all. But he's using a situation and he's manipulating a situation. So, in essence, all of it, there must be a level of spirituality. There must be a guidance from God upon all of it. Or whatever can be used for good can be used for evil in the same breath.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Germy, for addressing those two questions, and Danicia for your response. And it carries me to my next question. I just wanted to touch something on Odessia's question. Odessia, if you haven't done the quizzes yet, please do it. I know when I did it several times, and sometimes they put one over the other, but my top two don't ever move. but it's just that one would mention one quality time, another one may mention acts of service interchangeably, right? But you can check it out, and then you will realize that you will never get this. It will never be the same. So my next question is this: Danielle. Oh, because Danielle was just about to ask you the question if so Danielle,
Yeah, right.
not always sexual, because I was listening like I was like, really? So I'm happy that you corrected that so fast. All right. So the other question is this: when do you think is the right time to disclose your love language? That's the first part of it, or I should say, the first part of it should be: is it easy for you to identify someone's love language? That's the first part of it. And the other part of the question is: when is the right time? Is there any right time for you to disclose your love language to your partner? We're looking here in the context of a relational setting now. Whether it be dating, whether it be courtship, when is the right time? Briefly, please.
Yes, if I can go. For me, it is while dating. For me, while it is while dating, because the sole purpose of dating is to getting to know the individual, right? You don't know what will happen. Probably you're dating a young man or a young woman, and that might be the person that you end up marrying, right? So while dating, for me, it's the appropriate time to let them know your love language, because it's all in the process of getting to know the individual. And secondly, it is easy. It is easy in the sense for you to able to identify your partner's love language. Your partner's constant criticism about your behavior provide an avenue or give you an idea what is their love language. So I will stop there. I will stop there for now. I will stop there for now.
All right, Julius.
Well, that is true. I would agree that that your partner's behavior towards you would give you an idea of what their love language is. Also, to add to that, I'd say that I just lost the point I was about to make. Your partner's love language, yes, they reveal it to you. Oh yes, that's what I was going to say. Also, communication is important.
Yeah.
Even if we are showing it, we need to sit down and say, this is my love language, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, so we can have a clear communication, so our partners, and let's extend it, our children, our friends would know exactly what fills my tank, and I would know exactly what fills their tank.
Thank you.
Right. I think, again, I don't want to put a time frame to it, but as Julius would have mentioned, you're dating an individual is you're trying to get to know that person. Yeah. And I would equate it to you walking into a park or somewhere, and you see an individual of the opposite sex that is attractive to you, and you go over and try to get into a discussion with that person. Mm-hmm. When you begin to talk to the individual, you realize that this individual doesn't understand your language. Now, if my aim and my focus is to bring across a message to the individual, and I can't do it because I cannot speak their language, then we would have issues in talking to each other. In the same way, if my aim as dating someone is maybe later on getting married to that person and stuff like that, knowing and understanding their love language would be the only way to understand really how I can tell that person I love them. And unless I can do that, then I'll be failing. In fact, that would be the cause of some of the relationships falling apart, because if the person's love language, for example, is receiving gifts, but you come every day and because yours, and that is the challenge we face sometimes, because as human beings, usually we can only deal with people based on our own personal the way we see things. We have our own view of life, and our view of life is based on us.
Yeah.
So if my love language is words of affirmation, for example, but this young person that I'm dating is receiving gifts, but every day I would come and lavish her with all the beautiful words and tell her how beautiful she looks, and then I'm not making any progress, then I'm frustrated. And I'm thinking, well, this person just don't love me. When actually what is happening is the two of us are speaking two different languages and we can't seem to connect with each other. So that's why I'm not ready to put a time frame as to when. But I think if you're going to be dating persons, your intention have to be that you need to find out what is it that individual, what is that person's language of love, that emotional language that you need to know in order that you can communicate. Because until and unless I get that, then it's pointless. We're not going to go anywhere far with this relationship.
Yeah. True. Euwayne?
Yes, I will agree with Germy, because for your relationship to go forward, you need to understand the person that you're dating or you're seeking to go forward within the relationship. And I think you can recognize that individual's love language by simply listening here. Because we tend to act it out, we tend to exhibit it in our little actions. I might get annoyed when someone do something because I don't like this. And oftentimes individuals tend to act out their love language. So by listening and actually paying attention, not only listening with your ears, but without all the other senses, you can actually see what this person like and what they do not like. I see an individual made a comment, I think it's somebody to Mr. Germy, that it might not necessarily be their love language. And I agree with her, because at times it's not necessarily the love language, but it is like the love language is just a framework for communication.
Yeah.
All right, to give you a starting point of how you can communicate in a relationship. But the key thing is understanding your partner, knowing what they like. Pay attention to the things that turn them off. If you realize that they like acts of service, they like when you do things for them, do it. And you do it because you love that person. And I remember growing up, we always would use the quote, love is a principle. And that is so true even when it comes to love languages. Because if that principle of love is not within you, you're not going to want to show or spend time to get to know that person's love language. You're just going to be somewhat haphazard about it. That's just my thoughts right now.
True. All right. Danicia, you are going to make a point?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I agree. It needs to be at a point where you're sure you want to go ahead with this person, in a relationship. Because let's say, for example, these two people, they're now dating each other, and let's say one of their love languages is receiving gifts. We're going on a date, and the guy brings flowers for her or some little thing. If he did not do that, she probably would not see him as a potential partner. You understand? So I think communicating the love language from early is good, and it also avoids issues. I saw that someone asked if the love language is the way of expressing love. Does it take precedence over saying "I love you"? And I don't think it does. Yes, you say "I love you," but now by speaking the love language, that's how you say "I love you." So you say "I love you," yes, you do both. You say "I love you" and you speak the person's love language. You say love and you act love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. And that's why I love the question asked, because of the fact, for me personally, I don't mind people saying, okay, it's okay to tell me, okay, I love you. I like telling people, okay, I love you, especially if I'm in a relationship context. But then for me, with somebody just saying I love you, it does not cover anything if you're not fulfilling my love language. That's just me. So if you're not fulfilling acts of service, or you're not fulfilling quality time, words of affirmation is just words. And I don't know if something happened to me in my life because I'm still trying to trace back. While I love words of affirmation, it is like it doesn't really go deep within me. And I am now at a point whereby I'm learning to accept compliments because it's like people will tell me, okay, you look beautiful. Oh, by the way, on that note, thank you very much, Gamir, for your comment. Thank you for the birthday greetings because Gamir just said I look beautiful, and it's like you look beautiful today, and it's like I skimmed you, and I that already went out of my mind, right? Because why? Words of affirmation don't necessarily get the best of me, or I don't really see it 100% as the expression of love. So someone just saying I love you and ain't doing no word, no acts of service, or when it comes to quality time, it for me is just words in the wind. And I believe people can just say anything because they want to mentally manipulate, psychologically manipulate you. So I don't know I got that from, but it's like it doesn't do me well. But as Danicia rightly said, we can do both. Both is good, especially in a relationship, not even a relationship context, in family context and everything. So nothing wrong with saying I love you, but please pay keen attention to the person's.
That is why I was thinking when I asked the question about if your personality
Yeah.
affects or influences your love language, because I'm thinking here now based on what you would have said, and I'm trying to trace my mind. Sorry, that's how I think at times. I try to. You said probably in your experience. I'm trying to trace back your childhood, and I'm thinking here now that based on a person's upbringing, if they would be inclined or gravitated to a particular love language. For instance, let's say a male was brought up in a home without a father. So there was no attention. He didn't get any attention. He was there no quality time because as a single parent, you're up and you're about. And oftentimes the child will be there, neglected if you want to use that term. And so because of that, the child now will not feel the love and appreciation or words of affirmation or physical touch. But now that he is of age, he grows, he now look to compensate for what was lacking in his childhood. So I'm thinking if those factors in your childhood can influence the person, their love language, the one that you will gravitate to.
And it makes now I am thinking deep now because it's like when you mentioned that I had a sneak peek just now in my childhood, and I realized that I grew up in a home, both parents, my parents are married for 32 years now, but I realized that I am not accustomed hearing my father never. I can't remember hearing that he say I love you even to now. Like even today, like today birthday, I call. I say, don't forget today is my birthday. No, I need money. That's what I called my father. I said I need money. Today's my birthday because I know he's not big on Father's Day greetings. He's not big on those things, right? So he was like, all right, no problem. I'll give you the money, but don't tell me about birthday because birthday is just another day, right? But for me, growing up, I grew up in a household whereby I'm not accustomed hearing daddy say I love you. But when it comes to acts of service, though, he did it. When it comes to quality time, we had that. So me now, even to performing well in school, and I can remember at one point in time, I said to my parents, I said, listen, if you guys were encouraging me a little more, I would have done far more in school. Because coming home every time with a report, okay, you're top in your class in primary school, even if by chance you fall back second, it's like with excellent percentage. It's like nothing because it's like, oh, my parents would say, oh, very good job. But that's it. So there was no big pushing because why? They know that you are going to perform. So I am now mentally thinking, I'm wondering if that is what made me develop okay, words don't really matter to me. I know what I have to achieve. I'm just going to achieve it. Well, it's basically refuting what you just said. So I'm thinking that maybe both ways can actually work. Perhaps if someone was not accustomed to something before, they might grow to say that, okay, well, that's not norm for me. I don't think my parents hate me because of the fact they never used to say I love you, or because they never, mommy used to say I love you. Okay, yeah, 100%, but because daddy never used to say it, but he used to show it. So I don't know if it's because of, might be a primary reason that I developed that. But again, it can only come, we can only do a research. Maybe one day when I get a little more, Jeremiah, we got to go into this thing because I know many times you would mention research and research. Maybe one day we get into this thing, and I know Euwayne is an excellent researcher too. And we'll try to discover these things. Maybe, who knows, we can come together and write another book. Gary Chapman wrote his book and it's working for us. Who knows, we can do a research based on whatever you would have said. Just before we continue, I just want to say, Andrea, thank you very much for your greetings. Exactly, it's an excellent topic and it was not deliberate. When I was doing my topic alignment, I didn't even realize that I would have had a program on my birthday, because I didn't even know what day was my birthday. But until I finished my program analysis for the entire, halfway June and July, and I'm like, let me check to see if I have to do a program on my birthday. When I checked it, it was a Wednesday. So when I checked the relationship topics that I had for the remaining Wednesdays, I'm like, really? I have to do love languages on my birthday? How so wonderful. And on that note, I want to say to others, there is something to my friends. Thank you very much. Those of you who know it, know it. To my friends, I was encouraged to do a GoFundMe, and I did it. I really didn't want to do it because of the fact I'm doing this program, Issues in Focus, and I didn't want people to think that I'm doing a program just to get money, right? But after I started using StreamYard, today might be the last official streaming until I can find my way around to get my streaming done and to have people on my program. But after I was notified by the organization, I hear you only have X amount of free time, I was wondering, how am I going to get money? I'm now working to fund fund an app like this. And then I knew I had a lot of outstanding fees for USC still. So through the encouragement of friends, I was able to. And then somebody messaged me like 2 weeks ago and asked me, Shubiki, how can I make donation to your program? I never thought about that, right? So with all of that, and of course I prayed about it because I didn't want when it launched people seeing otherwise. So yesterday, for those of you on my Facebook page, or you're on this page, you will see a GoFundMe link that I would have set up. Primarily, the fees will help, the monies that you send, it will help to clear the expenses that I have for school. And in addition to that, it will help to upgrade the software that we're using to stream in so that we can continue to stream monthly by God's grace. So I just wanted to share that with you, just in case for those who didn't see it, or I know some persons would have already started donating. And I want to say thank you very, very much for the donations that you would have given so far. Sister Gwendolyn made a point here. She totally agreed in our upbringing. We never heard our parents saying those words. What they do, however, the act is seen. I have here Walter Hippolyte made a comment here. Guys, think what is important that is love action. Okay. Anyone can speak the love language, but few can do the love actions. How you treat the person that you love speaks louder than saying, I love you. And that is a fact. Thank you very much for that comment.
That's a profound point. Solid.
Very much.
Yeah.
Very much.
I wanted to make a comment on that, though.
Go ahead.
And I'm understanding, I think it's Hippolyte that made the point, and I'm understanding it. But one of the things I'm gaining from that is sometimes we misunderstand it when we see love language. When we're speaking about love language, we are not necessarily talking about something in an abstract. The love language for someone who is who has the love language or the emotional language of acts of kindness, that is what to them is important.
Yeah.
So therefore, even if you say I love you, they don't hear that. To the other person whose words of affirmation, even if you bring gifts, they're not hearing you saying I love you through their gifts. They're seeing the gifts, they're appreciating your gift. But they are hearing you say I love you when you tell them that this dress is looking good or this shirt is fitting you well. That's what they're hearing. So different people would react and appreciate differently what it is to say I love you. And that's what the love language is. It is saying I love you through the different ways. So, and again, we have to go back to the point that because mine is quality time, most times what's going to happen is that when I'm relating to someone, that's what I would want to do. However, it does not mean that this is what the person will be hearing, because the person's love language may be acts of kindness. But I just want to sit around with the person and talk to them, and they feel, for me to feel love from you, you need to be doing certain things. So a lot of times you hear people telling you, love, anybody can say I love you. I don't want to hear I love you. I want to see it in action. Mm-hmm. That person, what the person is actually saying is that my love language is acts of service. Yes, that's what they're saying. Exactly. Now the issue about being raised in an environment where you don't hear certain things, it surely affects you, and it may give rise to what you appreciate as a love language. Not necessarily because it was originally your love language, but you would find yourself with a level of incongruence in that you look at your parents, for example, and I am in the same predicament as you. You look at your parents, they never say I love you, but you're seeing the things they're doing, and you know they love you, but they're not saying it. Now, if your love language is words of affirmation, and you're craving that, but they're not saying it, all of the things they're doing, they ensuring you have food, ensuring that they're there for you in every other way, it doesn't say that I love you in the same way, or at least you don't embrace it in the same way as if they would just hug you and tell you I love you. That would mean the world to them. Now, when you grow up, you may find yourself in a situation, and Julius was mentioning it, where you're looking for that thing that you were missing almost, or you can go to the other extreme. I see it more or less as a maladjusted behavior rather than your love language, because it might throw you off completely in terms of your love language. Your love language may not be that, but because you were missing that, you were not brought up in a balanced way so that you could fully express your love language. So now you are running after something that you're missing, a craving that you had in your youth, not necessarily your love language. Again, I'm going back to the point where you would find women saying that he's not spending time at home. And you're asking yourself, but that might be her love language, when it may not be. It may just be the fact that the situation has been created where he just doesn't spend enough time, and I need him to spend a little more time, not necessarily because that's my love language, but because I think we should spend time together. Mm-hmm. And so things can get a little confusing with interacting with each other in terms of the language. And so I believe that we need to, and I am very happy for this particular topic, but I think we would need, it's a conversation that needs to continue to be out there, because it is very important. And I followed Chapman on a few occasions, and even he was saying that he wished he knew these things before he was married. So some of these things we have to learn as we go. Some of you are in a better place. You have not made the final decision, so you can still learn these things beforehand. And so you have better relationships.
Definitely.
Never too late to make a start. Never too late.
Exactly. And I can remember one time I met someone, and I'm like, it's like we were friends, and like there was no way, like when I look at it, it's like this guy doesn't speak my love language in any way, even though we were friends. And you know what I concluded? I could never date this guy. I mean, it may be a wrong conclusion, but for me, I don't feel as if you are going to make a good partner, because acts of service, no. Yes, you have words of affirmation, but that don't really get to me. And quality time, no. So how are we gonna make your partner? So in my mind, I already dismiss you one time. But I would not advise anybody just to go into that behavior, just dismissing people just like that because of that. Sometimes it just needs communication. But one of the things I'm always scared about is the fact that I really don't want somebody, because they know my love language, just trying to fulfill it because of the fact that, they know that that's the way I'm going to feel love. So you're forcing to spend quality time with me. You're forcing to do things with me, when deep within you, it's like you're not really doing it from like a genuine standpoint. So when I look at that now, I'm always afraid of somebody manipulating me in just, oh, I want to fulfill you with that part of it, but then they're not. It's not really coming from a genuine end. But I guess so ladies, just look at it carefully, but just don't be rash with your decision making as it relates to that. Sometimes all we need is communication. So we have two more questions before we conclude today. And the other question is this. Um, how important, no, it is possible, is it possible, I know we would have alluded to it somewhat before, but I just wanted to explore it a bit more. Is it possible that what are some of the possible conflicts that can come as a result of us not knowing our significant other's love languages? So that question, and then we're going to take the other question as we wrap up.
Well, as I would have mentioned earlier, and I like the way that the author puts it, your love tank will not be filled. So you would feel as if the person doesn't love you. You may feel as if the person is just not reaching you. And the other person will be like, well, I'm doing this for you and I'm saying this for you. But no, that's not my love language, you understand? So it can cause issues in the relationship. It can drive a wedge between the two people because instead of coming closer together, as far as I'm concerned, you are not filling my tank. You are not communicating love to me, so I don't want to be close to you. And that's why it's important. That's why it's important to make a conscious effort now to speak the other person's love language. Because personally, I was just speaking the love language that I have, and it's easy for us because that's what we know. So
Yeah.
it's easy for us to speak our own love language. In my relationship, I was speaking quality time. That's my second highest one. When really it's words of affirmation I should be speaking to him. And it did cause issues until we had that conversation. We took over the test again, actually. We took over the love language test. And we saw, okay, well, this is the love language. And from then I've been speaking it, you know?
I love that. I love that. Thank you, Danicia. I noticing Jemai smiling, and Julius is just Julius, you're just thinking, and I'm just looking at your. It's like you're processing so much at the same time. So whenever you guys are ready to speak, go right ahead.
Well, as Sister Morris would have said, nicely she would have put it together. It can, of course, lead to an unhappy and an unhealthy relationship. And of course, it can go to the extreme where you can even reach to the stage where you're divorced or you're looking to separate, because no one wants to be in a relationship where they feel unhappy and it seems like they're not being loved and appreciated. Right? So it can lead to that the extreme of the divorce. And it can also lead to also mental illnesses and so forth, in being there and you're all confused and you're depressed. You're trying everything possible to make this relationship work, and it seems like your partner is not getting it. You're communicating, especially if he or she's not taking the time to observe and to listen, not hear, because you can hear and still not listening.
True.
So it requires all of those factors to ensure that your partner is happy, the relationship is healthy. Less, it can go to the extreme and it can cause serious consequences in your relationship.
Thank you.
That's true. I agree with Julius, because you might be doing certain things thinking that, I'm doing my best to show that I love this individual. But because you do not understand what it takes to fill their love cup, you're doing all the wrong things. And there are oftentimes, well, for me, I really believe that education helps individuals to deal with challenges in their relationship. Because studies have shown that 8 out of 10 individuals who go to counseling, their issues are often grounded in a misalignment or failing to portray their partner's love language in a way that the other understands. For instance, this person thinks that they're doing the things that they expect the other individual to like, but they're actually doing the opposite of what the other person expects. So it's important to understand your partner's love language, understand what makes them tick basically, and do it because you love them. Do it because you want to see them improve, or you want to see your relationship improve rather. And I remember when I first learned about the concept of the love cup. Every relationship has a cup, and the more correctly you speak, the more you're putting things into that cup, the more acts of service and so on. So let's say by chance you do something wrong and you deposit from that cup, your cup is not going to be empty because you already put a lot of things inside before that event. And so knowing your partner's love language, you know exactly what to say to full your cup will never be full, but to keep putting things inside of that cup to make your relationship survive challenges that will come.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so you have the last person to speak on this.
Oh. Well, indeed, it's going to cause conflict. And I was listening to everyone here and beautiful submissions. And it just came to my mind that all of this, and sometimes it's easy to, when you're in a discussion like that, to forget that you're not dealing with an abstract. The reality of life all around you will come to play in all of this. Now, I want to paint a picture quickly. You and I think it's only Julius and myself that would be able to really identify with it in any big way. So we can speak with some degree of authority on it.
Enjoy it.
But the reality of it is, you get married. You get married to someone. You all are in love. A lot of things. You can give them a pass for it and whatnot. Even sometimes when they would do things that seem not speaking your love language at the moment, but you can overlook it. 5 years into the relationship, 2 years into the relationship, you're all married. There are other things that you have to be worried about. Sometimes children in the mix. You have finances to deal with. You have bills to pay. You have dirty dishes in the sink. You have work. The pipe bursts. Some machine breakdown. All of these things are happening at the same time. That you have to bear in mind that I need to be able to also remember to speak in a way, and I'm talking emotionally now, to speak in a way emotionally to convey my love to that person. And these are the realities of life that we're dealing with. And sometimes I like to go there with persons that are unmarried because some years ago, before I was married, I was in that place where you feel you can handle everything, that you have it under control because you've read enough on it. You're prepared, and I was a voracious reader before I got married. Now I'm doing a little less reading on these matters, and I'm faced with the realities of it more. So experience is a greater teacher for me now than reading. Mm-hmm. But it's a reality. It's a reality that we will find ourselves in conflicts. And what is important, if we can get this out of the way, if we can understand the other person's language in terms of their love language, that would be one less thing we would have conflict about. In fact, it will help us with every other area, and we would not be conflicting in other areas in a great deal. Now, that's not to say you're never going to have conflict. I wish I could tell you that when you get married, you're going to have no problems. I don't know for Julius, everything is perfect after you get married. Our Sister Morris, I wish I could tell you that and let you go with this thing, knowing that there's no more conflicts. You're not going to have any problems. You study their love language. The two of you are going to be happily ever after. That's not a reality. That's not happening. You will find yourself crossing threads. Somebody will get up one morning and just not feeling right, and all of these things that we're talking about sometimes. You just cannot seem to grasp it at the moment because of frustration, because your boss gave you trouble, and you come home and I don't feel like spending time with you right now because my boss just gave me a hell of a day. And all of these realities we have to deal with. But yes, conflict is heightened when we don't understand each other's love language. Yes.
All right. If I can, Sister Moderator, the man to know what Germy said. There's a key word. There's a key word, and regardless of what relationship you find yourself in, whether you're dating or you're courting or you're married, there's a word, that key word is compromise.
Big one.
It's a word that we don't like, but it's a word that will always come back to haunt us. And I would like to speak especially on the aspect of quality time, right? And while I use quality time, it's because it's in my mind, it is one of the common love language of women as we would have established at the beginning,
Yeah.
right? The major issue, because you have to learn to compromise, especially when it comes to quality time. It's not just sitting and watching a movie together. It's about doing something. It's not what you are doing, but why you are doing it. Objective. So, for instance, spending quality time might be okay for your partner's sake. I'm going to forsake this just to help us to work together, to be together. So let's make it a bit practical. Generally, guys like sports, cricket, football, but your partner, right? I'm looking at it from
Yeah.
a relationship standpoint, as a husband and wife, of my friend and girlfriend, and you now decided that okay, hey, CPL coming to Guyana. Maybe I want to go and watch cricket, but your partner doesn't like cricket. He or she doesn't know anything about cricket, but for the sole purpose of spending quality time, of spending that time together, you decide that you're gonna go and watch the cricket, even if you sit, even if you're sitting there and you don't even know when it's a four, but you're jumping up with the crowd, all right? For the purpose of you spending quality time, at the end of it, you want to look at the outcome. So it is something that we have to consider. It is actually giving of yourself for the benefit of the relationship.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, your partner must look at, even though you like not like going to the cricket, but at the end of the day, your partner can look at it and say, my partner was willing to do something with me that I enjoy
True.
and did it with a positive attitude. So it comes back to that. Another one, quickly, is the whole aspect of acts of service. And we would have, I think Jeremiah, somebody would have touched on it earlier. Because it is stereotyped in the sense that they have gender roles and female roles. But because my partner, my wife, or my husband likes the act of me helping in the house, cleaning, sweeping. But I was brought up in a household where they tell me, hey, this whole thing, this is a woman's job. The male's job is to be outside, to do the hard work, to do the yard chores and so forth. It's going to pose a challenge on me because that is not my upbringing. That is not how I'm wired. That is not how I was cultured. So it's going to infringe on what society has painted as it relates to acts of service. But because of my love for my partner and because of the fact that this is my partner's love language, this is what I want, this is what she likes or he likes, I'm going to work on something. I'm going to help her in the home, even if surprising her. And if I can share my little experience with you,
Go right ahead.
in the fact that I was brought up in a household where you participate in the house chores and stuff. But for my wife, she has never, trust me, we have never at any time sit and do our love language, right? but I looked at her and I can pinpoint with pinpoint accuracy what is her love language, right? But for me, what we would have decided to do is something that I'm now trying to reintegrate back into life after school and coming home and getting back into this whole marriage and relationship kind of issue. We had this whole thing what I call Sunday with what we would share responsibilities. So if she would wash, I would rinse. Sundays also my day, I cook day. That's when I will cook. All right. During the week, she would do the cooking and what's not. But Sunday is my day. We have also established what I call wife day. Right? Wednesday, whatever you want breakfast in bed, whatever is it that you want, whatever it is that you want on that day, that is your day. Right? It's something where I have to revisit now again, to get back into the groove of the whole school life, marriage life again after being
I have a
away
question.
from school. I beg your pardon?
Is there husband day also?
No, my wife and established about it. I guess Sunday. It's something to think about. But I look at it because I know she's big on act of service. Right? It's not something that I perfected. I haven't got it right. I haven't got it pinpoint. Sometimes we would have arguments, maybe you like this and stuff. But I know without a doubt that she likes this whole kind of act of service. So hence I established the Wednesday, the wife day. I would do the chores, even if it is a surprise thing when you come home, the clothes don't wash and up on the line, don't hang out, and those kind of excitement. I would do that.
We love it, Julius. Come on. All right, thank you very much, Julius, for sharing that. So we're gonna move on to our final question that we have to explore this afternoon, and the question is, what would be one advice, if any, would you say to someone whom they consistently, let's say they had the conversation and the partners, they know exactly what are the love languages, but yet still they are never speaking it for some reason or the other? What would you advise that individual? That'll be our closing question. And Carrie Ann, by the way, welcome to you, dear. I'm really interested to hear what Jemai would say about this one here. So anyone can begin. All right, this is where my panelists they sit there, they're thinking, what should I say?
Okay. I guess since you call my name, I have to respond. The issue, if someone doesn't speak your love language, I don't think it's something that you have to look at and say, well, all right, we're not compatible or we need to break up or whatnot. But you see, knowledge is power. And if you realize that, then it means that this is the point that we have already won half the battle. Because if I understand that, okay, we are not understanding each other's love language, then I can pinpoint right away that this is the issue. And once you can pinpoint the issue, you can solve it. The challenge is, if I don't know what it is, that's causing the problem.
You know.
But as soon as you know that this is what it is, then we can fix it. And sometimes we cannot fix it on our own. Sometimes that's where the professionals come in, where you go counseling and whatnot to handle it. But sometimes it's just a simple thing as we sit down and we discuss the issue. Now, that would take us into something else, which is conflict management. I don't know if you've dealt with this one already, but that in itself is another topic all on its own, dealing with conflict management as to how you do it. Because even if I realize you're not speaking my love language, and it can create a whole set of trouble if I don't know how to deal with it. And that is in the realm of conflict management. What do I do? Realizing that, hey, my love language is acts of service or quality time, but you have something completely different and we are just not compatible. We keep fighting over it. We need to get to the place where we can sit and talk about it and say, this is why I'm feeling that way. I'm feeling this way. I'm feeling that you don't love me because of X, Y, and Z. You know, you're not blaming the individual or anything like that, but you sit down and you have a frank discussion on the matter. If you're not married yet, and after discussion you choose to say, you know what, it's best if we just remain friends and we go our separate ways, then you have that option. If you're married, then it's a completely different story. Well, I personally believe that you're married for life. Um, there are people that don't believe that. I personally believe when you get married, you're married for life. That's what you said, till death do us part. And so we're working it out. I mean, there are situations and instances where you have to go your separate ways. And I must add that in, lest I leave people thinking that once you get married, everything that happened. I mean, abuse is one of the things I don't support. So if there's abuse in the relationship, then I would not encourage anybody to stay. And I see it everywhere, anywhere I go. I tell people the one time as a pastor, I would stand up and tell somebody, leave this man, is if you come to me as a pastor and tell me that your husband is physically abusing you or sexually abusing you, whatever the case might be, you come to me as a pastor and tell me that. Don't expect me to tell you stay with him. I will tell you leave him. And if somebody's listening and they're suffering from that, I'm telling you leave him right now. I don't mince words on that. So, but then in things like, okay, disagreements, we don't understand each other's love language, I'm not going to tell you leave because you get married to stay. And so we have to find our way working through it that we get to understand. And it might not always be as straightforward as we mentioned earlier, that there are things that happened in your past, in your upbringing, that might have affected you. That, for example, if I grew up in a home where telling me that you love me or words of compliment is not something that I have always been hearing, and I end up married to someone that their love language is hearing you say it and these kind of things, then I'm faced with a challenge. Because although that's not my strong point, but this person's love language is that, how do you deal with it? It means that you would need help. You would have to sit down with the individual and you all would have to talk about it frankly and honestly and deal with it. And it's not going to happen magically. Sometimes it will take time. Sometimes you'll continue making mistakes, but you'll have to be conscious of it and that you work on it and work to better it.
Thank you very much.
Right. Just to I share the same sentiments as Germy. Nothing beats communication. Nothing beats communication. It's the lungs of any relationship. Right. If you're encountering those challenges, both parties have to make an intentional decision to want to make this work. If one person is willing and another person is not willing, you're going to be at loggerhead and you will never make any leeway. It's like what we would say, you're throwing water upon callaloo leaf and it bouncing off. Right? So you have to make an intentional decision to want to make this work. So sit down and communicate and let us know, well, babes, I'm willing to go the extra mile. I want this to work. Too often we have been at loggerhead. We have been fighting too long. I want this to work. And if you continue to be at loggerhead, well, then you will need to go to external sources as counselors and these things to help you to make a decision. But at the end of the day, you still have to make the choice because the counselor can only advise you and give you the tools. You have to want. That's why initially I said you have to make an intentional decision to want this to work.
Yeah.
And of course, conflict resolving, conflict management, that is critical. It's a broad topic. It's one that requires hard work. Hard work. It is what Merchants would say, it's the border on longevity in your marriage and separation and divorce. How you deal with conflicts because they are inevitable. And it's a discipline, it's something you have to work on day after day. Ardently you have to work on it. That's just my submission.
Thank you very much, Julius.
Yes, I agree so much with Julius and Jeremiah. And for me, it's really how much do you want this relationship to work? Because, quite frankly, if someone is not interested in making a relationship work, they're not going to try anything. It's always going to be like unequally yoked. A big, strong cow with a very small one. It just can't work. So we must recognize that as early as possible in the relationship, you try to understand how this person deals with issue, how they handle various situations in life. And are they someone who would, come and sit and want to work it out, or they would just be carefree towards it? Recently, I heard of one of my friends who decided to end the relationship that she was in for a very long time because she felt that the individual was not doing enough to help the relationship to survive. He was very busy, and she understood his reason for being busy, but because he was not making an effort to fix the situations, she's just making an excuse over and over. She decided to end it. And I understand why she did it because eventually, when you get married and you go into a marriage, it's the same way you're going to be handling those situations. So, in a relationship, individuals must be conscious or intentional enough to want to work towards ensuring that the relationship survives. And that is why, as much as you have all the knowledge about love languages, communication methods using I statements, and so on, if you don't want it to work, it's not going to work. You can have all the knowledge about it, but if you're not intentional about working towards making the relationship work, it wouldn't work.
Great. Thank you. The lone female?
Well, yes, I mean, the main thing is to communicate. Don't just go and assume, oh, they're not speaking my love language, well, they don't love me, and make it an issue. You know, be gentle about it. They may not even know. I mean, as
Yeah.
I have mentioned before, sometimes we just tend to do what we are accustomed to. So we might just be speaking the love language that we have as our top love language. So, just sit down, communicate with them. Don't, you know, quarrel about it and, you're not this and you don't love me or whatever. No, you just, sit them down, have a conversation about it, and let's see how we can, fix this, ways that you can, start speaking my language more. And, they were right about, the I statements and, everything that was mentioned before should be taken into consideration. And of course, what you want to work with, if you want the once you want the relationship to work, it will work, and you would put in the work for it to work. So, yes, just communicate and communicate well.
Thank you very much.
I
And
can, if I can just make a point. When you're, I think Jemai would have mentioned it. When you're married, you don't have the prerogative to pick up your traps and walk out. You don't have that. You don't have that prerogative. But if you're dating and you find that you're at loggerhead as it relates to specifically this love languaging. Of course, I'm relationship marriage is it's more than just your love language. Knowing your partner's love language. But if you're dating and you're at loggerhead and you find that you're not getting through to each other as it relates to your partner speaking your love language, I think that is a good time to pull the plug. As I established, marriage is more than your love language. But if you find it difficult at this time where you finding it difficult for your partner to communicate your love language and you're at loggerhead, now is a good time to pull the plug, because don't fool yourself thinking that when you get married, the person going to work. Marriage doesn't change nobody, but you see that is what you will get.
true.
So I just want to make that submission.
Thank you very much. Valid submission. Marina, I'm happy that you were here with us today. So even as we wrap up and we bring this segment to a close, I really enjoyed it. I think it was the best treat I could have received, the best sort of information I could have received on my birthday. And so I want to say thanks to everyone. But my mind ran on something. Euwayne, I know we looked at the desk script sometime before. And while we were exploring the concept of communication, I really want you to just touch a bit on it, just for our viewers' information, because I really and truly believe that that will help to not just, well, help us to solving our issues effectively as it relates to whether it be in relationship context or family context or whatever. So just go right ahead with that. Hope I'm not putting you on the spot with this one here. Your microphone is muted, right?
No, yes, I realize. No, you're not putting me on the spot. You just forced me to remember something we did 1 year ago. Well, the script is basically a method that psychologists use, and they would teach to couples to express themselves more effectively. It basically shows you how to identify the problem. You don't just start arguing about the issues right away.
Yeah.
Take the individual apart from everyone else, sit down, state the issue in clear, precise words. This is what I'm feeling. And the script also tend to use some aspects of the I statement. Speak personally. Say, I really don't like when you do this. It makes me feel this way. And when you tend to speak how you're feeling, unless a person really don't like you, they would listen to your feelings, listen to what you're saying from the heart. And that is something that's very powerful in communication. When you tend to speak from the heart, individuals will listen more, unless they don't love you. And you can research it. It's a very simple. It even has a nice chart that you can use to structure how you're gonna deal with the issue in your marriage. And couples who are experiencing difficulties, and you go to a psychologist or even a therapist, they would give you these methods to actually help you to identify what is the issue or the challenge in your marriage and what you can do to solve it. It will help you to identify what you expect the other person to do, and the other person is able to communicate, okay, so if I do this, then you would feel better. And so it helps you to explore various avenues to help to better and improve your relationship.
Good. Thank you very much for sharing that, because I know oftentimes, especially for us women, for the women who are listening, I mean, there are times when we like to say, oh, you see, you get me mad. How could you do this? Like, for example, I was today when we started the program, I'm just gonna say this. I can't remember how I responded. If I responded with you or I don't think I mentioned I. But one of the panelists, a friend of mine, forgot to mention happy birthday to me, right? And so when somebody else mentioned it, then is when he mentioned. I can't remember what I said to him, but I think I went on with the you something. But what I'm saying is this. So just imagine if it was like, okay, let me just continue with that same example. So I would now be attacking him. Oh, you mean I hear nothing from you now? How could you forget my birthday? I think that was my reaction. How could you forget my birthday, right? You out of all people, I don't want to hear anything. So imagine me being so expressive like that in a relationship context. I mean, sometimes it's genuinely there might be some other reason why the person perhaps did not remember. But what I'm saying that if we keep saying you, or you can just simply say, you know what, I really didn't appreciate the fact how you didn't remember about it. How come? But ladies especially, we have to be very careful, because I know many times when we go on our emotional roller coaster, there's so many things that can happen, and we say many things, and many times we regret it and regret what we have said. Men do it too, but I just want to touch on our ladies. So ladies, today's Wednesday. I'm just going to say, like Julius said, today's, he has Wednesday set aside for Wife Day. Ladies, Wednesday, let us look into ourselves, see what we can change and be the better us. so that when we get into our relationships, or if we're already in a relationships, we can be the best version of ourselves. And of course, with God's help, we can help. We can both support each other so that we can have better relationships, whether it be dating relationship, courtship relationship, or thank God for those who are getting married. Soon to be Danicia, I want to wish you all the best in your marriage in advance, whenever that would be. Darian, thank you very much for the affirmation that you would have given to myself and your fiance. And I'm happy that you're here supporting the program here this afternoon. So I want to say with that, I just want to say thank you so much for viewing the program today. You were listening Issues in Focus with Shibiki Vivals and with these wonderful panelists, Pastor Germy Fevrier. Well, I call all of them in the first name because it's like we were so much around each other. Pastor Germy Fevrier, he's from St. Lucia, currently pursuing his master's degree. We have Pastor Julius Paul, and Julius is, well, of course, from Guyana, and Germy is from St. Lucia. And then we have Pastor Euwayne Isaacs. I have to get accustomed saying the pastor. There's some of these guys you're so much accustomed to. They're being your friends for so many years. So anyway, Pastor Euwayne Isaacs, Pastor Isaacs, it was good to have you once again. And Miss Danicia Morris, soon to be. So I just want to say have a wonderful afternoon to all my audience, to all of you in person. I just want to briefly pray as we close this segment. Loving God and Father, we are thankful that we were able to deliberate on the concept of love languages. I pray, Lord, that you will help each and every one of us to deal effectively in our relationships, to seek to understand each other so that we can have the best relationships that you have for us. So continue to bless us and direct our pathways. Be with my audience in a special way. Continue to be with those who would listen to this broadcast after today. Have your way, we pray. Through Jesus Christ. Amen. Don't forget to share it. And God bless you all. Thank you, Dylan. And do take care.